Hey fish people, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a quick little simple Q&A video. These are questions that I pulled from Facebook and other social medias of people that have asked in across different groups and things of that nature about, aquarium keeping and stuff like that. So we're going to answer these questions. Hope that they can answer yours if you might have something similar. And let's get right into this one. So this first question here says, I woke up to my filter being unplugged somehow and there's tons of white clear worm looking things. What do I do? It's only a snail guppy tank. So my guess is if your filter is turned off and you may have fed, there might be an ammonia spike, and these are going to be little like detritus worms that live in your substrate. Now, these worms are present all the time in our tanks. The only time they usually come up to the surface is if there's an ammonia spike, in which case they're escaping from your soil to be able to breathe, essentially. So that's really the only time you'll notice these guys swimming around a lot. If your filter was turned off for just a night, I don't know why that would cause a spike like that unless you overfed the night before. So I would say start out doing like a 50-75% water change, get that filter plugged in, make sure your temp hasn't fallen too much, and test your water. See if you got ammonia present in your water, because that is typically when you're going to see these things come up out of the substrate and just freely swim around in your tank. So definitely test your water, do a water change, and you should be okay. They'll eventually settle back down and guppies will eat them. So, free guppy food for you. Yay! Second question here, there's also a picture with this one. It says, can someone explain what happened to my tank here? Because it was crystal clear 5 days ago and now it looks like this. Any help getting my water back to the original clarity would be appreciated. Based on the picture, to me anyway, this looks like a severe bacterial bloom, which usually comes from adding new fish to your tank and the cycle having to basically do like a mini reset and catch up with the filtration. This could also happen again if you overfeed too much. You can get a bloom that way, but typically this is what's going to happen when you add some new life to your tank in the form of a lot of fish. So I know when I had my community tank, you start out with 6 to 12 tetras, and then when you add like 20, 30 more fish all at once, your cycle really can only handle the bio load of those 12 tetras. So unless while you're cycling your tank, you're overfeeding to accommodate the fish that you're going to have, this is most likely what's happening to your tank. It will clear up on its own. Usually takes a couple weeks to a month, depending on how much. You can add things like CChem stability, Fritz 7-zyme, API stress zyme, API quick start. Any bacteria in a bottle you can throw in there, and that'll usually help your cycle catch back up to the increased bio load. So that's my guess is what happened to your tank. You added new fish and you just had a bacterial bloom, which will go away on its own. And actually, if you do water changes, it takes longer for it to go away. So honestly, with this, I would just say let your tank be, test your water, see if anything's funky, add maybe one of those bacterias in a bottle, and it should help, re-jumpstart your cycle and get this all cleared up for you to back to clear crystal water. This will also happen sometimes if you add a clarity product to your tank. So like API AccuClear or CChem Clarity. When you add those things, it actually does make the water murky for a little while. So it could be from that. I'm not sure because I, of course, can't ask this person. But to me, it looks like a bacterial bloom in their tank. Next question says, how do you treat your fish nets to prevent transferring disease between your tanks? Have a lot of nets. Honestly, it's the easiest thing you can do. If you've got 10 tanks, have 10, 12 nets. I know it sounds like a lot, but if the tanks are small and you're using smaller nets, it's really not that many. You can leave them in the 5-gallon bucket or with your other maintenance supplies. Some people will leave a bucket of diluted bleach water that they can dip them in. Personally, after maintenance day, if I've had to use nets on tanks or my shears for cutting plants or tweezers or stuff of that nature, I will just fill up a 5-gallon bucket with some boiling hot water and just throw everything in there and just let it sanitize it that way. So that's an option you could do. Some people put meds and stuff in a bucket and just throw it in there. Like they'll make a med cocktail out of everything and let that sit. I would just say, for me, scalding hot water works. You're going to pasteurize anything that's on there. That's what I would do. Even if you just give it a quick rinse in some really, really hot water, you're probably going to kill anything off that would have been in there if the water's hot enough. So I would say, for me, boiling hot water, 5-gallon bucket is how I would clean things between transferring nets. Leave it in there for 5-10 minutes. It should kill anything off. Or just have a boatload of nets. Some people will use a different net for each tank, especially when they get new fish in. If they get a shipment of 50 different fish bags and they're going to put them in different tanks, they will use a separate net for each tank. This one says, I got 4 assassin snails a couple weeks ago, but I only see one at a time. I believe it's the same since it responds when I call its name. Oh dear. Are the other 3 hiding all the time? Are they possibly dead and that's why I don't see them? And just kidding about the name. So assassin snails will actually burrow under your substrate, which a lot of people don't know because I haven't heard it talked about a lot. So if you don't notice your assassin snail, they could be living down in your substrate. If you throw in something like a fluval bug bite pleco formula, they'll usually come out and eat that if you don't see them. You probably have all 4 in there. If you get an ammonia spike, you've had some die off, but for the most part, they'll stay burrowed under your substrate until they come out for food. That's probably what's going on here. And that's all the questions for this video. I hope if you had similar questions, this helps answer them for you. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you've had these happen before. Leave questions down in the comments. I'll start pulling from the comment section here soon too. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.